72 hours. That's how long it takes for global supply chains to collapse or cripple a functioning economy. Imagine if the global supply chain stopped right now, what will be the impact on the global economies? We have already seen glimpses of it: the Strait of Hormuz, the Suez Canal, one choke point, and the world holds its breath. You wouldn't feel it immediately. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, small delays. Day 3, supermarket shelves start going empty. Day 4, factories stop production, and then governments have to step in to resolve the issue. And here is the part most people never consider: the system preventing this is invisible, even to professionals working inside it. If you are new to supply chain, stay with me. If you are experienced, pay closer attention. Because today, you stop looking at supply chains and start seeing the systems of supply chain. Why SCORE before everything else? In the first video, I promised you the forecast lie is going to be the second video. I later changed my mind. Not because that topic is not important, it is one of the most important things I am going to discuss on this channel. But I thought explaining forecasting without system context of SCORE would be like explaining turbulence without explaining flight. So we build foundation first. The forecast lies coming, and when it arrives, you will understand it completely. So I had to ask myself one question before building this series. If I could teach one thing in supply chain, just one, what would it be? I'm not going to teach any software or a tool or give any certification, but I am going to take you through the most important thing, which is the supply chain system. See, you cannot fix what you do not structurally understand. When I talk about system, I talk about a structure. Okay, every concept you will encounter in supply chain: push versus pull, bullwhip effect, forecasting failures, inventory waste, air freight, sea freight, custom clearance, order processing, last mile deliveries, line haul deliveries, everything, all of it lives inside one framework. Learn the framework first, and everything else stops feeling complex. The second reason why I am starting with SCOR is because it is imperative to understand: when companies are investing crores in technologies and are still struggling, where is the failure? The tools are good, the tools are working. The failure is because the system they operate inside is broken. So, what I understand is you cannot fix a broken system with tools designed for a working one. Third and simple reason is SCOR is the global standard. It is used by operations professionals across several countries. It is their common language. So if you work in supply chain or hire for supply chain, this is the vocabulary that matters a lot. So now we proceed further with what is SCORE, Supply Chain Operations Reference Model. It sounds technical, but it is not that technical. You know, the only statement or sentence you need to remember about SCOR is that it is the most widely used frameworks globally and a universal language of supply chain. First of all, understand that this is not theory, it is a standard. Okay, the way accounting has principles that every professional speaks, the accounting professional speaks of, same way supply chain professionals speak the language of SCOR. Second, SCOR works in layers. You can stay at the surface or go deep enough to redesign entire operations. Please understand, when you know SCOR, you will be able to build operations from scratch with confidence. Third, it has been quietly shaping global operations for decades. Most people have never been properly taught about it. If you don't see SCOR, you are just reacting to supply chains and not understanding it. Now, the six pillars of SCOR. See, every supply chain, no matter the company, no matter the country, runs on these six things. The first is plan. Decisions and directions are taken over here. This is the brain of the entire operation. The second is source, where the value of your supply chain is built or even permanently destroyed. Make, where raw materials become finished products. Deliver, where your brand promise is either kept or it is broken. Return. Now, when I talk about return, this is the most underestimated pillar in supply chain. In e-com today, return rates are very high. Most companies don't have strategies of return. Enable. This is kind of a connective tissue that makes the other five functions work. Without this, you have all five functions which are disconnected with each other. Today, we go inside two pillars of SCOR, which is plan and source. The reason is because most of the problems start over here, and these are the first two pillars. Now, before we go into it, I would like to explain a small framework where I put across my own thoughts or views as supply chain, which is not, very simple, but it is an industry concept. It is kind of a fundamental law how universe is organizing itself right now. So let us go through it. It's kind of a pattern that repeats everywhere. Okay, and there are five flows which I have jotted down over here. The first is physical, and when I talk about physical, it's goods and materials, ships, trucks, warehouses, ports. Energy, the large supply chain on earth by volume. Data, the fastest growing supply chain in human history. Finance, without financial flows, ship is not going to sail. And nature, the most important. Rivers, seasons, migration, pollination, the oldest supply chain in existence. See, there are different industries, different scales, but same movement from where something is to where it is needed. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. Once you see this, I tell you, you stop thinking in departments and you will start thinking in systems. Okay, now, very simple. Take your phone, just hold it. It kind of looks very simple, but it is not. That one device is five civilization networks operating simultaneously right now for you. Like, for example, physical, the rare earth minerals extracted from mines in Congo and Chile are there in your phone. Components built across six countries, assembled in another country, shipped across oceans, and delivered at your doorstep. Energy, the factory runs on electricity. The cargo ship burns marine fuel. The data center that processed your order powers a small city. Third, data. You open an app, an order is created, real time tracking is going on, and that is through undersea cables and which is at the speed of light. 4. Finance. Your payment cleared in milliseconds. Currency converted, supplier invoice settled across three countries. And nature. Lithium, copper, silicon used in making your smartphone. Before any human engineer touched your device, the earth provided everything. Five networks, one design. Now just imagine one flow breaking. Your phone won't exist. This is what I want to make you understand about supply chain. Moving further, plan. Okay, now this is the brain of supply chain. Plan is where every supply chain decision originates. And inside plan, the single most consequential capability is forecasting. The capability of forecasting is the most important, which is ignored by a lot of organizations these days. Let us go further to discuss how. Because most companies are predicting, few actually sense. So prediction looks at the past and sensing is what is listening to the present. So when I talk about demand forecasting, demand sensing reads real time signals, kind of point of sale data, e-commerce patterns, weathers, IoT sensors. The plan doesn't update monthly, it updates on daily basis. So I've seen this repeatedly. A cross-functional team spends 3 weeks building a plan. Demand is aligned, supply is committed, inventory targets are agreed and finalized. 3 days into the month, the plan is already being ignored. Not because the plan was wrong, because execution was disconnected from planning. Let me repeat it, because execution was disconnected from planning. Sales were making promises outside the plan, procurement was reacting instead of following agreed solutions or schedules, operations were firefighting. So planning without execution culture is not a strategy, it is an expensive document and a discussion. Let us proceed further. Source. In source, there is one mistake I have seen cost a company 6 weeks of zero revenue. I will show you exactly what happened next. Okay, stay with me. See, source looks simple, it is not. This is where companies quietly lose or permanently build their advantage. So, the biggest mistake what the companies make is treating every purchase in the same way. There is a framework that divides your entire supplier portfolio into four categories by supply risk and the value impact. Make a note of it. So, when it comes to these four things, let us talk about strategic. Okay, where the value is high, the risk is also high. So, you need to build long term relationships with your supplying partners. We have to not deeply negotiate with them but invest in them. Second is bottleneck, low value but dangerously high risk. If this fails, your production stops totally. So, the most important thing is to secure supply first, price is secondary. Leverage, high value, low risk. This is where your procurement team earns its salary. Negotiate hard on this. Non critical, automate this. Do not put your best people over here. So, in an instance where 80% of the packaging of an organization, every box, every label, or every insert came from one supplier, that supplier had a fire. So, zero packaging, 6 weeks, revenue zero. The demand was there, the operations was ready, everything was working except one thing, one decision. Okay, Single source dependency is not efficiency, it is kind of a countdown. Now, after this, you might have seen that these are not just terms, not just concepts, but structure. You have seen why systems fail before execution ever begins. You have seen how one sourcing decision eliminates 6 weeks of revenue. You have seen supply chain through a lens that changes everything. It is not a department, not a function, it is the infrastructure of civilization. In the next episode, we go deeper into plan and source, and I will kind of show you exactly why most SNOP plans fail within 3 days of month starting. Okay. The real difference between demand planning and demand sensing, we are going to decode it completely in the next video. If this kind of impacted your thinking, or if kind of changed your thinking, there is a new video which is going to come next week. Okay, so subscribe, comment your industry, and more than in the industry, I mean, you can comment about the video and your demands if you have, and share as much as you can. And I will try to read every single comment, because the industry you name shapes what we build next over here. Share this with one person in your network who works in supply chain, not because it helps me, but because they deserve access to this level of thinking. So this is SCM Decoded for you, and we are going to build a global supply chain community. See, these please remember, this is going to be real operations, deep theory, decoded. Bye guys.